Buongiorno e benvenuti. Welcome to Art Yoga Pills with me, your host, Dinny. In this space, we will connect and share together about creativity, inner child, and self-awareness. Siete pronti? Enjoy! Ciao a tutti, Kia ora, and welcome to another episode of Art Yoga Pills. It has been a while that I haven't done this, but I'm so grateful to come back with a great guest, or at least this is how it feels for me. Welcome to Victor Santos. How are you, Victor?
I'm really, really, really good. It's a pleasure to be in your podcast, and I'm curious to know where it will take us today.
For me, it's exactly the same. So I think that I will like to share with you my first question, and we can see based on your answer which way are we going to lead this conversation together. So for some people it feels like a tough question, for others it feels quite light, so let's see how it's going to work for you today. So my first question is, who is Victor? And you can go in any direction you like: personal, professional, spiritual, down to earth, whatever journey you want to take us with you.
Wow. Yeah, it is a tough question. I feel like I'm gonna go a little bit overview who is Victor and a little bit of my journey. And yeah, so Victor Santos is a Brazilian, sacred sexuality bodywork slash tantric practitioner, a workshop facilitator, and a trauma-informed mentor. So I'm passionate about life, especially the landscape of mind, body, and soul, and how it come together. So for the last 10 years, I've deeply dived into the quest of my own inner world, exploring shadows, blockages, traumas, and everything else that is on the way for me to become the best expression of myself in the world. And many of those healings coming through the sacred sexuality fields, an area that for the last 5 or 6 years I've been offering many different types of work. In my journey, I attend many workshops, training, and deep dives retreat. I also embarked together with my two less long-term partners on a self-healing, self-learning journey via books, research, and interview, where we applied and test all the concepts and techniques we learn in ourselves and in each other and as a couple. Everything I facilitate, I offer to my clients. I offer from a place where I learn and I experience that and I embody it. A lot of my work promotes spiritual and inner growth. Many of my one-on-one clients seek me because some things not work as they would like in their sexual life. I help them to find what's on the way, how to reconnect with that parts of them, how to find pleasure, intimacy with themselves and with their loved ones. When it comes to workshops, such as many different areas relate to these fields, such as intimate touch, men work, archetypal work, exploring desires, consents, and bounds, which is the base for everything that relates to my work. And I believe that was the one that creates the curiosity of you when we first met. I think that's a little bit of me.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. I actually remember that we met like over a bowl of popcorn. So that's like how our first connection started. And it's incredible how from there that I find like synchronistic moments such as this one to let ourselves discover each other in a completely different field that didn't have nothing to do with our professional life, but then arriving to this point in which we're standing now. And I guess that a little bit like from that experience, like combining the personal that then becomes professional. My curiosity is how actually were your first steps into this journey with sacred sexualities? You touch a little bit about that, but I wonder if you could expand on the way that it started for you, especially with a topic such as sexuality, which for many countries or for many people within those countries, it still feels like a taboo. Did you feel that at the beginning of your journey, you were curious enough to explore without feeling those restrictions that society and limits that can give us? Um, or instead, you were also like very curious but not too sure of the path, like which of the version of Victor was at the beginning of this journey that started to expand more and more towards the Victor that you are now?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. So my beginning of the sacred sexuality path, I feel like it started way before, but I want to go right from that point. I didn't know where I was stepping in. I was invited to come to the Eden Festival in Auckland as my second date with Kim Sama was my partner. Was we just started a relationship, so I came to. She's like, I'm going to this festival. Do you want to come with me? I didn't know where I was stepping in, and I was just like, oh, sure, yeah, I will come. And then suddenly I was in a festival full of sex positive people talking about a lot of their inner landscape and yeah, and with a lot of things that I have never ever heard about. So it was super interesting, super exciting, and scary at the same time. So I guess from there I start find out different trainings, different workshops and things where I could explore more.
Yeah, that's a very interesting field for me too. And the fact that there is so much restriction still in the way that some people connect to something that it is sacred because it's one of the way in which we are creating life, but also like connecting to what I'm sharing, which is creativity. Sexuality is connected also with like the energy of creativity itself. And it is interesting to have this conversation with you to explore a little bit about that. Like how it has been within your experience, that duality of the people that reach out to you. Do you notice them be still feel like quite restricted in their beliefs towards this topic, or there is enough curiosity for them to be um, relaxed, even talking about something that, as well as it could be sex, it could be death, like those topics that are still considered a little bit of a taboo? And how do you notice like your connection with those people being within your journey with this experience?
Mhm. Okay, to answer that question, I'm gonna go a little bit on the basis of what I work. So I work, like let's say, if you take the chakra system on the body, a lot of the spiritual new age works from the heart up or the ascendant path. And a lot of my work is the descendant path, which are the lower chakras, which are exactly what you were talking about, the taboos, the power, money, and survival, and sex. So it is it is taboo. So a lot of people have a lot of projection on me. Um, so all kinds of projection from like the golden ones to the not so good ones. And so I have to really hold myself to not go either with the golden ones, either with the other ones. So and kind of keep remember who am I. So the clients that comes to me, most of them are already ready for this work, even though they are there is a trembling on their soul when they're coming, but normally there is enough curiosity where we can go through the fear that is there, because that part that's holding them it became so hard that they cannot. carry on living with that. They actually needed to face it so they can carry on with their life. That actually it is holding themselves and blocking them in relationship or many other different areas.
Thank you so much for expanding on that. And while you are sharing, like my head is filled with question because, as you know, I don't prepare anything beforehand. I just notice how the conversation lead us somewhere around your journey for us to understand better and possibly even connecting with you further along this conversation for whoever is listening and is curious enough to want to reach out to discover even more. But starting from, I think, what I would consider like the basics, or at least like my understanding of that is the way that we connected, which was based on my ability in a work environment to say no. And that transformed for me in an opportunity to come to actually one of your workshop that was okay, including the aspect of the no, but in a context of consent, potentially also then expanded then in a field that was more connected to what you do, so connecting to sexuality. So I think that by starting with that, the possibility for us to understand that we have a certain capacity to place our boundaries into place. And it could come like in terms of sexual connection, but it could come in any other field of our life. So I guess that my question for you based on this is something related with something valuable that you could share with us in the way that we have the power of making choices. And with this, I guess that you can bring it towards whatever field. It could be your field in particular, or noticing how your field can extend also to other field in our life and in our life experience.
Okay, if I understand you right, you would like me to dive a little bit into the consent and boundaries and what the effects of no and how that affect people. Would that be what you mean?
Yes, exactly like that. So to understand even when someone start to have a curiosity towards what you do, but is not sure yet, like how do they can navigate their own journey to understand where they want to place themselves in either situation or in conversation that then might lead them to a better understanding of themselves and their power, the power of say no or the power of say yes, or both.
Okay, I will do my best here. Yeah, the consent and boundaries, it is the base of any type of work that I do. So it's something that either I have to bring to and guide my clients through, or I have to actually teach them. So I have a lot of time. The clients, I will give you first a lesson and boundaries and consent, and then after that, we're gonna develop other work before we even start going to the body, for example. Because it is, including myself in the past, it was really hard to say no to somebody else because of the meaning that we make about saying no to someone else. So normally no are interpreted as rejection or I don't like you. And from that place, many people, including myself in the past, used to find it really hard to come and say no to someone. So, and then I would put up with things or I would carry on something just to yeah, just to reward or just to not be unfriendly with someone. And then when it come to my work with the sexuality, we cannot have that. If we carry on with something that we are not wanting, we have a potential to create more trauma instead of healing from that point of view. So I really, when I start to work with a client, I emphasize and teach them how the importance of no and try to change the concept of no in the mind, which I was telling on that workshop you came. that if what if we change the idea of no? When you say no, you are actually saying yes to yourself. When you say no, you're not rejecting the other person. You honor what's alive and truth for yourself. At the same time, it's really important to know how to say no. It is great to learn how to receive no. Because if when you receive the no, don't go into like, oh, the person don't like me, or the person reject me, or anything. You can change that to like, oh, actually, that person's honor themselves. So thank you for looking after yourself. So if you change those little details inside of ourselves, the no become way more friendly, and we can honor in others, and we can honor within ourselves. And when I come to work, that's really, really important that my clients, or even in my personal life, that my partners knows how to say no. Like when I can trust that my partner are able to say no to something to me, I am way more bold to ask my desires. I'm way more like outgoing and say like, hey, would you be open to do that crazy thing with me? And I know that she will say yes or no. And if she say yes, that yes is a true yes, because you can actually not be a true yes if you don't know how to say no. So the true yes born from the no. And there is many other things we can go dive into that. There is negotiations, and some people ask me, but what if I am a maybe? So for example, maybe if you are a maybe, you are a no because you're not a full yes. And you can always ask for a pause, for a stop, or like a pause is a really good, like I really emphasize that to my clients, like if you're not sure what's going on with you, ask for a pause. I would just pause, and then we will check in and unfold what emotions are coming up. And then once we unfold, we can decide if we carry on or if we stop. And the same thing can be when you are like engaged intimately with your lover, for example. Like in a relationship, in an intimate relationship, it is you're not there performance. If you're there like really connect, emotions are bound to come up, and we can either bypass them and keep yourselves on the surface, or we can go deeper. And my experience, when you choose to face what the emotion that came up, it will bring like another depth to that connection that's happened at that moment. So that means like when that comes up, ask for a pause. And then it's like, oh, something's coming up. And just have a pause and feel. And when that happened in my experience, sometimes can be like come a laughter, a cry or something, and after that we just go way more deeper and way more beautiful and connect in there. And that happen also with my clients when I'm there, so they can dive deeper into their own selves when they pause, when they like, okay, I'm here with my sadness, I'm here with my anger, I'm here with my grief, and then we move through it, and then they can go even deeper.
Thank you so much. I really like the way in which we can learn how to please ourselves before doing that for others. And that is a really great reminder. Also thinking like when we are taking the airplane, how do we need to remember to put our mask first before helping somebody else? And that's very important even for other aspects of our life. And the ability of saying no is just allowing ourself to get closer to the depth of what we like, what we dislike, and how we can face those challenging even to say no or saying a yes. And I guess that another question that comes to me is the other side. So the side of the person who asked the question, whatever that question might be. It could be related once again to sex, or it could be consider even of other part of our life, as it could be our professional life, our personal life. And I wonder, within your experience, if you had the chance to work with people or even encountering people that might be from your closer connections, not necessarily like on a professional level, people that really wanted to ask something, but they were not able to let it out. So to communicate that clearly, or even to communicate that at all, not necessarily clearly. And I wonder how that is also can be an impact on the way that we are restricting some of our energy to fully flow our authenticity to come forward and be seen, even if there are questions that we want to ask and we might be afraid of rejection, or even to be seen in a way that mm, maybe through those questions can open up other layers of ourself and our realities. So I wonder how is that for you, either from your personal experience or your professional life.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like there is a difficult to break through, and it's including myself to break through like the the more shallow conversations or the more like lubricant conversations to so we can go deeper. And myself, I struggle actually to do that level of conversation, and I know that's needed so then we can go a little bit deeper. So for me, how I try approach to that is curiosity. So I noticed that like 20 years ago, or right before I embarked on this journey, I I wasn't actually listening to the person that was there. I was just trying to answer them because I was so awkward within my own self. And then I noticed that a lot of people does the same, so they are actually not listening. So and they are just worried about what they're gonna say next or something instead of being there in the present. So for me, it is curiosity. It is the key to start unlock those deeper layers and those Jewish conversations. And of course, there is the fear of putting yourself out there and receive a no. But another way to see that the risk of if you don't say anything or if you don't try, you're never actually gonna get it. So you are already in a place where yeah, where you already have no. So you're not even given a chance to receive a yes. I think sometimes the fear of getting the yes is bigger even than getting the no. Because when you get the no, you are okay, it wasn't for me, you can justify. But when you get the yes, it's like, oh gosh, now I have to do. And that's the fine line. There were many times that I asked for crazy desires. And then when I received yes, I realized that actually I don't want to do that. But there was some part inside of me that needs to express that desire, and that was enough. I didn't need to actually act on that desire. So there was and that nuances I find fascinating when you work with on that field. I think I'm going a little bit sideways of what you ask, but I don't know why I'm going there. But that's a really interesting thing when we come to desire. Not because you have that, you always wanna act. Sometimes it just need to be expressed. And for example, I'll bring in a personal example. Before I came to New Zealand, I was telling myself every day, if my boss make myself redundant, I will travel overseas. For 6 months, I pretty much repeat that every morning. And the company I was working from, they were periodically making people, a lot of people make redundant because the business was not going well. And I survived many, but the following next one, I knew everyone knew the day that would happen, and then I received a call from the secretary saying that the boss wants to talk with me. So I knew what would happen. Soon as he starts speaking, then he say like, I'm gonna have to dismiss you, and then I could not even hear what was the reason why he's doing that. the only thing that came in my mind, like, oh my God, I'm gonna go overseas now. Oh my God, I'm gonna go overseas. And I was flooded with the excitement, but with like a lot of fear. I was like in panic. I was like, what did I manifest to myself? And that's happening now. So up to nowadays, I have no idea what was the excuse that he gave me to make me redundant, but it doesn't matter. The interesting part for me was like, gosh, now I receive my yes to myself to go overseas. What do I do with that? So I got completely sideways, but hopefully that's okay.
Absolutely. We are the owner of our conversation and we take it whatever we like. And I really like this almost like a duality. The part of us that choose to say things, so to be bold enough, to be courageous enough to let those words come out and see how they might be taken from the other side, but also the possibility of not saying, but holding an intention within us for hoping that the energy, the synchronicity will allow the other person maybe to make a move, whatever that is. And I love that you bring something like that is talking about the professional life to understand that these things that not necessarily are related just like in the context of sexuality, which is part of what we are sharing today, but also expanding on that, that power of the union between our mind, our body, and our soul on every single level, and how we connect our own energy with one of others, either spoken or unspoken. So
Mhm.
thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I want to just add to it. A lot of the bounds and consent that base what I do, it came actually from Beth Martin. And if you Google her, she has a lot of free stuff online. She created the Wheel of Consent, where really in light like the main relationships dynamics, and then how like once you are not like if you're not in consent, you actually push the other person to out of consent as well in an unhealthy way. So it's a really a good place to go and look. Found Beth Martin, I think it's .org online, but we can put it up after. um, so, and that material that she learns, there is a lot of on a sacred sexuality field where she also spent a lot of time. But it is, as she said, an important tool that, for me, should be taught in the schools, like for teenagers, out of context of sacred sexuality, of course, but it's just it is so enlightening when you start looking at those relationship dynamic, and then you start looking back to your life, and it's like, that's what happened when that happened. That's what's going on when that happened, and it is like putting words for something that you could not have words before. So I really recommend that work not only on the sacred sexuality field, but actually for teenagers and for everyone in any part of their life.
Thank you so much, and as well as for your website. I think that we can definitely add the link for those free tools, especially considering that there is a lot of material according to your sharing. It is wonderful to understand how we can take the knowledge from those who are allowing it to be accessible for us, then using it to see how we can transform not only our life, but create that sort of ripple effect for other people experiencing starting from a younger age, because I truly feel like that now in my mid 30 there is this new wave of myself discovering myself, and I'm noticing how much the belief that I hold to be true for a long time, coming from society and the culture I was brought up in, which is Italy. And not to blame any country, but to point just the starting path for me, I truly realized that part of me feels a little bit of regret of not having had access to all the information that are available right now. yet having the ability of being curious enough to give myself this chance now at this new wave of life and understanding a little bit more about myself. And that's why I feel that is important for whoever is wandering around and listening to us, hopefully with a lot of curiosity, to know that there are people such as yourself that can support us, even just like through the conversation that we are having, to reminding ourselves that we are not alone, that there are so many people that have lot of unanswered question and might not know how to navigate their journey, either on a deeper level like talking about sexuality, but also taking from this conversation and expanding on other field of their life. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really important. I remember the first time I stepping into a men's group and a men sharing group, sharing circle. I was just with like in awe because what the other men start sharing, I never ever had on seen other men talking so deeply vulnerable and so deeply to things that I thought just I was just myself who was going through that. I felt like I'm a completely alien to this world because I was going through so much thing inside, but no one talked about it. And then when I stepped in that and I saw the men talking about it, it just made myself feel more human and more and less burden, like less like somehow I thought it was just me going through those things. And then when we start sharing with each other, it's like such a healing medicine because suddenly I wasn't alone in my within my own thoughts. There was kind of somehow shared and present in each other man. So I feel like to share those informations, but also to realize that we are not alone on our journey. It is that other people struggle with quite similar things. It is an amazing thing to share and put it out there for who haven't actually done anything in that field yet.
Thank you so much. And while you were sharing, I was wondering how sometime um, it doesn't necessarily take someone that we are so close to open up for our truth. Sometimes it can be even a stranger. And so I guess that part of this realization in this moment make me question you on what advice I would say, or what suggestion you will give us about allowing ourselves to feel courageous enough to just share ourselves in conversation with people that we trust, but also allowing some of the depth of who we are to come out also to, let's say, stranger or people that we just met. Like, what would that look like, even considering, like, probably I'm asking this question considering even like in terms of relationship, before to build a relationship with someone that we trust in a romantic way, it needs to start to a point where we don't know yet each other. And so thinking also for in terms of relationship, but not necessarily like romantic one, how our ability to let our mask come off and be truthful can lead us to a certain depth. I'm not too sure if it is a question, but um, I hope you understand a little bit of what I'm trying to explore through your experience of how we can be authentic despite if the people are people that we know already or we are getting to know. I think this it makes it a little bit more simple.
um, Okay, I feel like for me, before we relate to another, we have to relate to our own self. So we have to understand how our relationship with I love to work with archetypal work. So that means like my inner masculine, my inner feminine, my inner child, my inner woman, my inner man. So I create those archetypes. Not necessarily create, as a lot of people work with that. That is not my no, it's not something that I create, but I create my own. on that. And then how do I relate with all of those inside of me? So I've done a lot of work in the last 3 years in my inner child, because everything that would block me to have those connections or would block me to expand, it traced back to a time that I was child that I could not even quite remember, which was when I was my mom's belly and 1 month. So I did use many different techniques, like with different therapists to access those. But what I want to go with that, like until I create that relationship and what came up of from me there, it is like I have to be the parents of my own child and take the responsibility to take this child in my hands and grew up then. So I created a relationship with my own self. So once you start like understand yourself, it will give you more self-confidence and more self-esteem. So when you have more those inner confidence, you can expose more yourself. For example, I used to think that vulnerability was a weakness. I grew up in Brazil where men wouldn't be vulnerable, and that would take it as a weakness, and then someone would just like drive over you and would just like put you down. And I had to learn that's opposite. Like my vulnerability, it is my power. And then once I embodied actually that, it was easier for me to be vulnerable and to remove the masks that I wear in a society out of fear. So then when I have that enough confidence in myself, I'm start open up and show who Victor is truly is. And that's a lot of what I say about the spiritual work, spiritual work that you mentioned. Like I grew up in Italy and I have all those conditions and blockers. And for me, a lot of my work, inner work and works that I offer to my clients is exactly that. What's on the way for us to have those meaningful connections and to have a deeper conversation. And a lot of comes from society, from religion, from maybe traumas or strategies that we have to develop when we were a child to survive on the world, um, and others like masculine and feminine, man and woman, patriarchal. So these are shapes that in strategies that we were creating when we were child as we were growing up, and we didn't update them when we grew up. So in our unconscious mind, in our automatic, let's say, program, so they still run on that, and we even a lot of time don't know they are run. So and then that part normally block us to be able to remove those masks. So if you start identifying what are those programs that we are run, what are the blockages, what are the conditions that we have, and we working with that, we start showing more who we truly are. And then so those masks start automatically falling. It's not that you won't have a mask. You need a mask to survive in a society. It's not like you need a mask, but you need like a Victor the professional, Victor the personal. Maybe someone would be the father or someone would be the mother. So we have those let's say, masks that we wear that we need, but there are a lot of masks that we don't need. So let's start removing that, and then we choose when I wear the Victor professional, when I wear the Victor lover, when I wear the Victor friends mask, and but consciously I'm putting that mask on and interact with someone, or I just choose to completely be vulnerable and remove almost all of them if I can. I don't think so I can, but most of what I can and be completely vulnerable to other person. And of course, I won't do that with everyone. There are people that I feel safer, that I can do certain parts of my life, and there are other people that I can do other parts. And there are people that I'm just start getting to know. So then I choose the level of exposure that I go with. I tend to go to expose myself as much as I can to that person, but I still have discernment when is appropriate to do that or not. So that's a big learning that I've been having lately. Uh, when to review parts of myself or not. But I tend to leaning into like being as vulnerable as possible, and that has given me um, great feedback, great response from the other side, and help the other people be also vulnerable. When you are vulnerable, normally you give permission to the other person to be vulnerable, and so that start just spiraling down, and you might end up in a really deep, beautiful conversation from there.
Thank you so much, Victor. I felt that despite my question not being very clear, you managed to give a really beautiful insight about the way that we can navigate ourselves, and it almost comes back all the time towards ourselves. And what I would like to add on your sharing is our ability once we are understanding those dynamic that goes on within us, that they are not necessarily defining ourselves as a person, but also are a ripple effect of many other little factors that grow with us to shape this version of ourselves, to just allowing ourselves to be aware of that. And that's, I think, the first step of bringing awareness towards, oh, I'm noticing myself saying these things or acting in this way, and be patient with that and bringing flexibility towards our ability to navigate a different version of ourselves that anyway will require time. Because as we've been learning how to speak, how to walk, how to ride a bike, how to drive a car, maybe playing an instrument, is the same way of reshaping ourselves, our patterns, our behavior, and bringing a lot of compassion, trust, and patience, and love and care towards ourselves. Because otherwise, it will create like the opposite, like going against ourselves, because we are coming to the realization that those things are happening, we don't like them, and yet they are there. And how we can manage to do that one step at a time, because a seed to become a tree will not happen overnight. So, how we can find also that way of doing it slowly with the time that we need, as we are not growing all in the same way and all in towards the same direction or with the same shape. So yeah, just adding on your sharing with a little bit of that. And this is coming from a reminder to myself to begin with.
Yeah, no, that was a great reminder, and I agree with everything you just shared. Like a lot of compassion to yourself, and like there's life goes on. So slowly, there is not a destination. It is a journey. So enjoy the journey and keep like interacting as best as you can, knowing that what you're doing right now is the best what you can, or try to do the best what you can where you are. In my journey, I did had that like I see the potential and I want to already be the potential, and forgot that that is steps to get to that point. So nowadays I'm more focused into like enjoy the now in my journey and know that there is no destination. That is just like what I am now. Yeah, if I keep just focus there, I will keep myself in misery and not enjoy life. So as you said, like a lot of compassion, patience, and love to yourself and others. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Victor. And I think that arriving at this point in our conversation, I would like to ask you if there is something else that you would like to share with us that we might not have bring forward in the way that we lead our connection for today. And if there is anything else, feel free. There is the space there. There is an audience for us that can be curious enough to keep on listening. If there is anything else valuable that you feel is important to share in the space.
Hmm. Um, Yeah, for me, like if I would give an advice for who's starting on the spiritual path, yeah, for me, healing comes from within, not from anything outside of us or outside of me. Um, so a great path or a great teacher will help you to explore your inner landscape and find your own healer. So that you can always remember that whatever you're looking for, it's already inside of you. That anybody else outside that might come to help you, they might just gonna give you insights or to facilitate the pathway or to help you to see what you're looking for. But all the answers is ultimately inside of you. And of course, we sometimes we need to be reminded and we need to help from other people out. But remember that at the end, you are your own healer. And always trust and listen to your own self, your own intuition when you navigate spiritual path or anything in life, I can say. So that's what something I would like to share that was really valuable for me, but I think can be valuable for who's starting this path.
Thank you so much. And I'm excited because usually when I ask this question, it also brings me to the final one, which is like the one that I choose purposely to not share with my guests. And it might be already connected to it. And so you might say, that's it. I have no more advice to give. But the final question that I would like to offer you for us, but starting from you
Mm.
today is if you have three empowering messages that you would like to gift it us with, and you know that that can be a message and a reminder for you, for me, whoever else is listening right now. And if three feels too much because we gave a lot of great messages today, you can also pick just one or repeat one that has been already previously shared, so just like reinforce all these empowering messages that we would like to give, you would like to give us.
Right. I think I just share one, but I might just resume that one. Um, I feel like my own path, it was really important to me. Do a lot of practice that was related to embodiment. So I was quite disconnected to my own feelings, and through different parts of embodiment, such as like conscious dance, like static dances and five rhythms and things like that, or yoga, um, contact dance, and things like that, helping me to bring um, awareness to what's going on in my inner landscape. So embodiment would be one. Um, The other one was what I just shared. Trust your intuition, your inner guidance. You have the answers inside of you. Something doesn't feel right, don't do. If something you don't know why, but you call to it, go and investigate and see. Probably there is some medicine for you there. Um, Another one I would say, if you were starting on a path of spirituality, is like there are many different paths. Not all the paths are for everyone. So if you see someone going like on a sacred sexuality path, it doesn't feel right to you, don't go. Like there are other paths, there's meditations, there is yoga, there is dance, there is many other ways. So not all paths are for everyone. Choose the path that you need, and not, and sometimes they will change. So you start from one, and then you go to another, and go to another. So just bear that in mind. You see someone going to do something, and they have a lot of benefit from there. It might not be your path. Stick with your truth on that.
Thank you so much. This is one of my favorite moments because I'm the first one absorbing all that knowledge and wisdom that come through. And I'm really hoping that not just like for this last part of our conversation, but for the whole duration of our back and forth with insight and wisdom that we shared, people will be inspired, but also curious enough if they feel like to reach out to you personally. And the link of your website will be in the description of this episode. So feel free. Actually, now we are playing in both countries, New Zealand and Australia. So we are expanding. And so if you would like to reach out to Victor, whatever you are, even beyond those two countries, just like to have a connection to ask questions, feel free to connect and more will be shared, more over than what we've been already doing.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Victor, for your time, your sharing, and your insight about yourself and what we can get from your journey to ours. And thank you for everyone who has been listening so far too.
Mhm. Thank you, Dean, and Art Yoga to invite me. It was a pleasure to be here with you and have this awesome conversation. And thank you to everyone that's listening us as well.
Thank you, and for everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Grazie per averci fatto compagnia. We hope you enjoyed your time with us. If you wish to stay updated and connected, visit us on our social media channels and our website www.artyoga.co. Ci sentiamo presto. Ciao! See you!